What's up, everybody? So, GW did the Codex show reveal for the Necrons and the Space Marines, as well as some future books coming, and even Forge will get in the action. They got in on the action with their compendium book. It's just an updated book containing, or a book containing their updated data sheets for what they offer, so it's not going to have everything ever. But it also is going to include Regimental Doctrine Rule for the Death Corps Creed, which is always cool. That's all I got to say on that. The rest of this long-winded ramble is going to be on the reveals that they have done for the Necrons and the Space Marines in this particular reveal, as well as just the concept of reveals overall, because truth be told, they've done a lot of revealing for the Necrons and the Space Marines from Indominus onwards. Now, Indominus admittedly forced their hand for some reveals for sure, because they included within that box set push fit miniatures for units that are brand new for the 9th edition Codex. So we had to learn about them, right? But from there, they doubled down on that by giving us reveals for future stuff coming. But then they kept on doing reveals. They haven't done like one a day or anything like that. But we've had, I think, a good number of reveals to us for both the Necrons and the Space Marines thus far. And as cool as I like to, or as cool as it is to see, as much as I like seeing cool things, I'm saturated. I feel like that they revealed enough, and they should just give us the Codex already. Um, with that said, it's not like I don't want to see cool things. I just don't want to be spoiled for everything, right? I would like to be able to discover things on my own, and it definitely seems like thus far we will. And considering there's only 3 full months left of this year, what is it? October, November, and December, because we're in September, so it's 3 months and change left in 2020. Man, it went by fast. And these two codices and four more are meant to, or four more books are meant to come out in 2020. It seems the release is going to be happening much sooner than later. So that is cool, but I just feel like hopefully in leading up to their pre-order and whatnot, we're not going to get hit with even more saturation or reveals. I think they've done enough, and it's time to just give us the book. Now, I know saturation levels for people are different, but I do feel like a lot of people are like myself in that regard of getting revealed cool things is cool, but I much rather learn about brand new things in a codex. Not that I don't want to see any of it. I do. What I mean by this is, don't reveal if they reveal 3 new things. How about they reveal 2 new things and one stays hidden in the book until we get it or we see it come up for pre-order alongside the codex or whatever, stuff like that. But it's not like we're gonna know everything about the codex and not need to pick it up. So it's still going to be a case of having to discover for yourself. I just do prefer a little more mystique surrounding a book than getting revealed absolutely everything or close to everything. But these books are going to be jam-packed with a bunch of stuff, so that is cool. This is going to be a long-winded ramble if I didn't say so already. Definitely going to be long-winded. But what I do like is that they also take this time to really double down on the fact that this isn't just something for the Necrons and Space Marines. All future releases for this edition, book-wise, from GW will be jam-packed full of rules and capabilities and other things as well, too. So it just further reinforces that fact. So when they hit us with the stuff for the Necrons first, it was cool. We see the dynastic code for the Silent King's own dynasty, which makes sense. Of course, they would get their own dynastic code. But while it is cool to see, they do take time to mention that the Codex will include rules for creating your own dynastic code as well, much like the successor tactics that you could do in the Space Marine Codex. Space Marine Codex kind of is the way in which we see things get disseminated from there. We had chapter tactics there, and then eventually we got chapter tactic-like stuff elsewhere. Granted, we had it's not like the Space Marines were the first to do it, but they really cemented it. And then made it kind of a thing for other codices where it made sense to have it. And then we had successor tactics be a thing, come back to us and be a thing. And then we see it now really becoming a thing, hopefully, that where it makes sense to do so as well for other codices. Necrons are getting it. So that's cool. They don't show us anything about creating our own dynastic code, which is great. Hopefully they won't. Hopefully that stays a nice little surprise once you pick up the book. What I do like they do talk about and give us an example of, because I kind of forgot about it, is the narrative-driven Crusade campaign system that's in this edition of 40K. It isn't a whole brand new concept. We've had stuff like this in the past, in prior editions of 40K, but it was only in the main rulebook. It wasn't fully saturated with stuff for each faction. So, it doesn't... or it didn't, I should say, give us the same level of flavor that we are going to get in this edition of 40K, because they are putting the different requisitions and traits and relics and upgrades and abilities that you can get, depending upon how the campaign goes and whatnot, in your codex. So each codex, each faction will be full of flavor for the narrative-driven Crusade campaign system, which is really cool. I always found that an interesting campaign system. Never got to play in one. It just never was something really picked up in my area. Hopefully, with it being right here in all the different Codex forces books, that it'll become a bit more widespread of a thing to do, because it definitely seems like it'd be a fun way to do a campaign. So they give us one example of that, which is cool. And then they hop into getting us excited by showing us the Silent King model again. Now, with this model, I want to yet again draw attention to the shield pieces, which are cool on their own bases, but how it attaches to the base has been a point of debate amongst the community in terms of exactly how it attaches and how powerful of an attachment point those little spindly energy tendrils are. I understand the concern. I agree with it. You don't want it to be fragile, but it is plastic. Plastic is relatively light. Even something that big is going to be pretty light, so it shouldn't be too hard to hold itself up that way. I just would prefer to have a bit more of a stable base. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if there's something flat or like holes in this particular base that they kind of slot into and do whatever. I'm not certain. We'll have to wait and see on the sprue, but I can't imagine it is super fragile. They did design this. They would, keep that in mind. But it does make you wonder. But in showcasing the Silent King's model, which is just always cool to look at, we also see his stat line. Now, it's just his stat line. It's not the full data sheet. And I get it. It makes you get impressed by him and be like, oh, that's really cool. But this is one of those cases where not seeing it, I think, would have been just as fine as just them hyping up essentially how cool this model is and assuring us he's going to be suitably impressive data sheet wise. Now, the first new thing we see for the Necrons in this reveal is the Ophidian Destroyers. These are destroyers that look like Necron Wraiths, and Scorpec Destroyers had a science experiment and fused and became the Ophidian Destroyer. Now, they burrow kind of like Raveners do, and they do have a similar style as Raveners, because as you would when you have a shape like this. But unlike Raveners, which are plebeians and burrow underground, the Ophidian Destroyers tear their way through the veil of reality from their own pocket dimensions, as you do when you Necrons, clearly. I mean, obviously. But anyways, it's cool, but we do see their full data sheet, so there's no surprise here for what they're going to be like in the Codex. But that's okay. You have to make those sacrifices here and there sometimes for a full data sheet reveal just to make things seem or generate more interest potentially. I get it. But with that said, they don't seem really that bad at all. They seem pretty cool. It does make me worry, particularly for the next reveal, which is not a new unit, but an updated kit for a unit we already know about, and that is the Necron Flayed Ones. Now, the Flayed Ones has always been a really cool, creepy melee unit of the Necrons, draping the skin of their dead foes over them because of this weird flesh hunger, and the Flayed One curse is upon them, obviously. We do learn that they're going to have an AP of -1, and they do have this flesh hunger rule, which makes them obviously be more geared towards non-vehicle units, as they were always anyway. And they talk about how they are at their best when killing squishy stuff. And I don't think that means like weak stuff. I think squishy stuff meaning organics. But I do worry for these guys a little bit now because they didn't really have not so much direct competition, but outside of the Wraith, and which was highly specialized, and outside of the Tomb Spider, right, or the Context Spider, whatever you want to call it now, which is also kind of pretty specialized, the Flayed ones were your pure melee unit if you wanted it, without any range capability, that had a very particular function. It was always a niche type of unit because even back when we had pariahs, they could shoot, but those are also geared a very specialized unit towards certain things. Here with the Flayed ones, they've always been niche-esque, clawing their way out of the ground or doing whatever else and ripping apart fleshy units and being a real terror. But now that they have two direct units that are also pure melee to do things, to hack and slash things apart, I have to wonder how effective they're going to feel in comparison, right? And if they're going to be just more of a niche specialized thing that is still existing because they are cool looking and whatever. I don't know. I don't think that GW will just let them get left behind utterly, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the meta helps shape stuff like this, but we're going to have to wait and see exactly how they're going to be when we see their datasheet and compare it to the melee datasheets of other stuff. So that is definitely one of my concerns, seeing yet another pure melee specialized unit. Now, again, they're not... These almost feel a bit more in direct competition with the Flay ones, because the Flay ones had deep strike potential and stuff to either literally claw out of the ground or basically appear out of nowhere and hack things apart, which the Ophidian destroyers are doing too. So they seem like a more direct competition, quote unquote, if you will. So I know I'm spending a lot of time harping on this, but I'm just really curious to see how the Flay ones shape up in comparison. I'm not a big meleeer anyway, but I'm just curious. So with that said, we see two Cryptex, a Chronomancer and the Psychomancer. Really cool to see them because they are not like your standard Cryptek look with, being bipedal. I know Lunar Zeros has more than two legs, but my point is, by and large, Cryptex have looked kind of standard in terms of their shape. So we see the Chronomancer is different and the Psychomancer is very different. I love the Psychomancer's effect that he has going on his base, that his tendrils are kind of like conjuring up or whatever. It looks really cool. Just very digital, very cyber, not so much cyberpunk-ish, but kind of like cyber attack looking or whatever. Very fitting. And the Chronomancer is probably my favorite of the two because I'm just a sucker for anything that deals with time type stuff, time manipulation stuff. I'm also a sucker for anything dealing with star energy, like the solar forging, stuff like that. I'm also a sucker for. So Necrons are definitely up my alley. So those are the last of the Necron reveals, and those are the last two brand new things. So it's not like they revealed a whole lot of brand new stuff here, just between the different rulings, giving us more of an insight, not just looking at the model, but a little bit of insight into it, plus all the stuff prior. We do actually have a decent amount of Necron stuff revealed when you think about it. Same thing for the Space Marines, although the Space Marine stuff, again, just really showcases the fact that we have that narrow-driven Crusade campaign, so they show us one example of something from that. They also show us the ability to represent chapter command a bit more, because yes, we have chaplains and stuff like that, but now we're going to have the ability to represent the head of those respective orders. So they show us the one for the chaplain, but they also make mention of librarians and tech marines, so that's cool. And they say other characters, possibly apothecaries, so that's really cool too. It's just a cool concept, and I like what they showcase there, and you can check that out yourself. It just seems really neat. The first new thing they show us is Captain with Mastercraft Heavy Bolt Rifle. He's in Gravis armor. I've been really enjoying Gravis armor more and more lately. It's no Terminator armor, but it's still really cool. I liked it. It's just I don't know why it's growing on me more and more. So this Captain is their nice little way to ease us into this whole new concept of a heavy bolt rifle because much like their Captain, there is a squad called Heavy Intercessors that are in Gravis armor wielding heavy bolt rifles, and they have other bolt weapon options depending upon how you play them, right? Which is cool. I'm not going to go further into that because again, you can check out their full data sheet. This is a full data sheet, much like the Ophidian Destroyers. We have a full data sheet for the Heavy Intercessor squad. But I get it. I get why they're called this. It's very Legion-esque in their naming structure because we had tactical squads and then tactical support squads and stuff like that. So that's why we have like Intercessor and Assault Intercessor in a way and Heavy Intercessor. But I just think you gotta be careful with using terms like heavy because they still have the tactical arrows. So I'm assuming they're still a troop choice, but yet they got the word heavy in their name, which can confuse people, admittedly, I guess. But cool nonetheless. More Gravis armor, I'm definitely on board with. What I do like is in the middle of the Space Marine reveal, we see the Eradicator, Blade Guard Veteran, and Assault Intercessor multi-part plastic kits revealed to us. These aren't anything new. We knew that they were units existing. We have their push fit from Indomitus to look at, but now we get to see just insight into the fact that they will be getting multi-part plastic kits, and this is what some of them look like, and they look really cool. The Blade Guard Veteran looks like, at the very least, a sergeant can take a Volt-Kite pistol, just like we saw in that one lieutenant, and I was wondering if we'll see it elsewhere. Well, here it is. So that's cool. I don't know if the whole squad can do that, but at the very least, the sergeant can. And the Assault Intercessor, we get to see, and they also tell us that there are some options that the sergeant can have. So he's not just relegated to having a chainsword and whatnot, which I assume expected, but it's just nice to have confirmation that way. And then the last brand new thing is they showcased all variants of the Storm Speeder. The Hail Strike, the Hammer Strike, and the Thunder Strike. And while they showcased the full datasheet for the Hammer Strike, weapons aside, we can assume the stat line, the way it's set up, is going to be the same for the Hail Strike as well as the Thunder Strike. But the Storm Speeder, I do really like it. I've always liked the Primaris stuff, to be honest. I was wondering how it was going to be when they were first shown to us. I thought they looked great. I love their scale and whatnot, but I really like the aesthetic that is very Space Marine, but also very much instantly recognizable as Primaris. I just think that's cool, personally. I know people love to roll their eyes at Primaris stuff, but they're here to stay, and I, for one, am fine with that, personally. But that's all of the revealed new stuff for those two codices. Again, when you take that in conjunction with everything revealed thus far, is actually pretty substantial. So hopefully that's pretty much it for the reveals, and we're just going to get the Codex stuff coming to us soon, I hope. But 2020 is not over yet, which means they are talking about how to round out the 2020 release structure for 40K, and that means 4 more books for 2020. 3 of them are supplement books. One of them is a full-blown Codex, and that is Codex Death Guard. So this answers one of the questions I had, which is, I wonder what's going to happen to Chaos. Because with the Space Marine Codex, that is the core book for everything that's not Grey Knights, basically, in the Imperium. So I was wondering, will Chaos get similar treatment? It doesn't seem so. I guess, it makes sense, and it's fitting that the Death Guard will be their own codex, and the Thousand Sons, I assume, will get that same treatment. Will they, go crazy and do similar treatment for Emperor's Children and World Leaders? I don't know. We don't have their Primarchs in 40K yet, / maybe ever, I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. I would love the Cult Legions to have their own codices, then they can be embraced a bit more fuller, have more flavor and options there, and I would love the Chaos Space Marine Codex to still have those units, because those units, Noise Marines, Plague Marines, and stuff, can still be part of other war bands and whatnot. But I would love for the Chaos Space Marine Codex to be less Cult Legion-y, and still have the other Traitor Legions and then be also Chaos Renegade stuff and whatever. But time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. However, if you are a keen observer of the fact that we were getting supplement books for the Space Marines, you'll know only 3 of 4 are coming to us in 2020, and those are the Blood Angels, the Space Wolves, and the Death Watch supplement books. The Dark Angels are being held off until early 2021, and I really hope when they say early 2021, they mean January. Look, it's September right now as of this ramble. We have 3 more full months left until the end of 2020. It's gone by pretty fast, all things considered. So we have 6 books for 40K to come out in 2020 in 3.5 months, let's say. That's a lot of releases. So it's gonna flow, right? And I think that is the only saving grace, because if you have the Necron and the Space Marine Codex basically come out in September/early October, then you have releases of the supplement books and the Death Guard Codex throughout the rest of that time period. We're going to be into January, hopefully with the Dark Angel supplement hitting January, without really feeling like we're missing a beat. It's going to become really problematic if we go into February and still don't have the Dark Angel supplement book for us. Why am I saying this? Not just because I'm a Dark Angel fan, but because the Dark Angels, Death Watch, Space Wolves, and Blood Angels were self-contained codices like the Death Guard Codex still is. They decided to make the Space Marine Codex the core book for all standard Astartes chapters, so not Grey Knights. And ultimately, I'm fine with that. Really, I am. But if you're going to do that, while yes, we're going to have rules that they say will quote-unquote get you by for these factions until you get their supplement books, we shouldn't have to really wait. It should be more of a, hey, since we're doing this radical change to the Space Marine release overall, these supplement books should be basically hitting us in the face ASAP, in my opinion. Now, yes, that means a Space Marine overload for non-Space Marine players, but I think it's a bit more understandable given the strategy they're employing for the Space Marine Codex. Either way, it's nothing Xenos until 2021, because the Dark Angel supplement is coming out with the first Xenos Codex of 2021 as well, so hopefully those are both for the January time slot. We'll have to wait and see, though. Yeah, it kind of sucks that one of the 4 supplement books is going to be in a whole different year, but given the amount of time we have left, and we have 6 books that come out in 3.5 months, I think we're going to see the pacing feel like we didn't even really miss a beat, assuming, like I said, January release. So those are my thoughts there. As far as the next Xenos Codex to come, it quite honestly, I think, could be anything. I want to say Eldar or Orcs, just because I want to say those two, but it could easily be Tau as well, or whatever else, Xenos-wise, right? Tyranids, whatever else. So we'll see. But my guess is either Orcs or Eldar. Anyways, this has been long-winded enough. Cool reveals. Cool reveals are cool, obviously. They look great. Hopefully we're not going to get saturated with more Necron and Space Marine reveals. Hopefully they'll just give us the codices for pre-order, and then we'll get to see how jam-packed these books are in all their glory. And as they've mentioned throughout the reveal, and even at the end of it, when they're talking about future books, that each of these books will be packed with full of updated data sheets and weapon profiles, new stratagems, and loads of bespoke Crusade content too. So, yeah, all the books are going to get really loaded up, and that's cool. I do like that a lot. We'll have to wait and see exactly how, but gonna be a fun time. Anyways, with that said, they also did showcase a Death Guard Terminator miniature, just kind of to, because of the next full-on codex to happen. So that's cool, but not much to say there. Anyways, what are your thoughts on all the reveals? I really like what I'm seeing. It really looks like there's true potential to build a Gravis armor only Primaris Force, which I'd be highly tempted to try because it just seems cool. Not necessary, but just cool. I do like that Storm Speeder, though. I know that's already the source of memes, but I do like it. As far as Necrons go, really want to get that Chronomancer. It looks awesome. And looking forward to seeing what the dynastic code building is like, because I love Metford Dynasty. That's kind of how I want to go. But if I could build one that's similar, but it maybe has a little bit of my own flair to it, just like you can pick two stratagems or two tactics for your successor tactics in Space Marines. If I could build something that feels Metford-ish, but maybe a little different, that would be cool too. But I'm fine either way. Anyways, what are your thoughts? Are you a Necron player or a Space Marine player or not? Share it all in the comment section below. The sooner we get these books, the sooner more books come out, and the sooner your particular faction will be coming out. So there is that to consider. Anyways, that's it. Thanks very much for sticking through it, and until next time, take it easy.